I think I have figured out the core, deep rooted problem of where hate comes from. Hate comes from a powerful form of one's ability to not be able to accept something, non acceptance. Let's practice real quick to see how it goes. When I was a senior in high school, I was still my same 5'7", 140 pounds, and I had to accept the fact that I was never going to be a Major League Baseball player. It was not in the cards of my narrative of life. I accepted that. I moved on. I've had a great life. On the other side, there are some things that I can't accept. For instance, like the fact that I, just a normal guy, can't make a difference in the world. Like, I can't accept that. I wouldn't say that I hate the fact that I can't make a difference in the world. What I'm saying is, I can't accept the fact that I can't make a difference in the world. Meaning, I'm going to force myself to change the narrative and say, I can make a difference. So let's back up. Hate comes from a long-term non-acceptance of certain things, like how people interact with each other, just in general. Some of these issues, see that the idea about being able to change the world and to help people and everything, that's my own personal issue. That's my own personal narrative. But there are a couple of things that I'm going to address that are deep-rooted problems that need to be talked about critically, that would be what they call systemic because of the fact of non-acceptance. So there's 5 that I'm going to talk about right now. And I think as you go through, you're going to see that these 5, if they are addressed and we can start to accept everybody for who they are, then I think we're going to have a much more, we're going to have a more peaceful planet and a more peaceful existence together. So the first one that we have to talk about is religion, because religion is a man-made item. So the narrative becomes the issue. The question of what happens after you die is a very important question because nobody knows. And it's impossible to know. So you have to accept what you think is going to happen, or follow a religion and have your own faith. The problem comes when you don't accept somebody else's narrative or faith. It becomes a crack. It leads to a fissure, and it just becomes anger, and the idea of, I can't accept your viewpoint, so you should accept mine. And that disconnect is where the crack comes from. Peace can simply be created by believing whatever makes you feel good, but also accepting whatever narrative or whatever thing that makes somebody else feel the way that you feel, even if it's different. The next item that I'm going to talk about is sexuality. And this is an interesting one because of how far things have transitioned in the last 25 years. Non-acceptance of how people love and who they love may be deeper than just pure free will. If you think like heterosexual is, if that's defined in your brain as normal and you can't accept somebody else's love that they share, you've become sheltered in your existence, because love is the most powerful thing on the planet. And one day, love will save the planet. So, non acceptance of a gender defined love, it's passed through too many hands to get to the point where we are in the present day today. So we have to rewrite that part moving forward, and we have to do it quickly, because the love people share for each other and with each other is never going to go away. Love is something that it builds over time. So you have to think about it this way. You have to love whoever you would like to, but make sure you love with everything your heart can, because the bond that is created is stronger than anyone or anything that tries to break it down. And nobody should ever feel ashamed for feeling love inside of their body. No matter if it's a man for another man, a man for a female, or a female for another female, non-binary, transgender, everything. The next thing I'm going to mention is body issues. And this one's interesting because I was born happy and healthy, and I am lucky enough to be relatively normal. I have no acting disabilities. I have all of my senses intact, and I am very grateful for that. You can't press non-acceptance of things that don't concern you when it comes to body issues. I'll elaborate. Disabilities kind of strain my heart in the idea of whenever I see somebody that's dealing with something that I don't have to deal with, whether it be maybe somebody's immobilized or in a wheelchair or deaf, blind, whatever it may be, I sit there and I think, man, I wish they didn't have to deal with this. I wish they could be, quote unquote, normal. But the amazing part about it is a lot of times they don't even look for sympathy, because they have accepted how they were born and how they're living. So what I mean by that is I have to accept their acceptance, and the idea of, hey, we may be different, and you might be dealing with things that I don't know about or that I can see, and I might be dealing with things, but as long as we accept each other for who we are physically, I think we'll be able to be okay. I have a loving wife, and every once in a while, there's issues that come up, and as a husband, I sit there and I go, how can I help? What can I do? Please let me alleviate your pain or your discomfort or whatever it may be. And a lot of times it's just be here, just be present, because some of the issues that I'm dealing with, you can't understand. And that makes perfect sense, because, I'm a guy, she's a girl, etc., etc. So if someone can't accept that we all go through different issues based upon our own bodies, it creates a serious issue of people posing solutions for problems that they don't understand. And that is not conducive to healthy behavior moving forward. The next thing that I want to mention is a tricky one, especially in the United States of America, and that would be wealth. Because no matter what, capitalism is going to create rich people and it's going to create poor people. And those words were completely defined by the amount of wealth that one has. A lot of the times, though, it's due to circumstance. Somebody's born into a family that doesn't have a lot of wealth. Somebody's born into a family that does have a lot of wealth. You pick a career path that pays better, or et cetera, et cetera. But a lot of times, the people that work the hardest are also the poorest. They're out there grinding every day for their families, looking to literally put their financial wealth into the things that are conducive to creating a healthy lifestyle: shelter, food, insurance, healthcare. It creates a quality of life determined upon it. And the amount of wealth left over after you cover the bare necessities should not be designated as rich or poor. It should be designated as the life that you're living, and you're making it work somehow, some way. My personal experience, I've known people that are wealthy and not wealthy, and a lot of the times the people that are poor, or that have less wealth just in general, I find to be significantly happier, because they've accepted the fact that they're going to have to make a nice, simple, happy life with what they have and what they make. And they get joy out of things that aren't monetary. And a lot of the times, wealth creates some sort of imaginary pedestal that elevates people, and it creates a mentality that brings expectations between human interaction. And when you do that, and when you expect to be treated differently because of how much wealth you have, life truly becomes incomplete that way. You're missing out on a lot of great human interaction based upon something that really just, when it all boils down to it, life is best lived simple. Now, when I was inspired to kind of write this and speak about this, this last one's tough. So I'm gonna go through it the best I can. Race and non-acceptance of race is probably one of the most ridiculous things that could ever be conceived. Non-acceptance for the complete circumstantial fact of where you're born and the color of your skin is completely man-made, and it has become by far the deepest rooted fundamental issue that we are facing overall. And I feel like it's hard to address because I'm from Northeast Ohio, and the city that I came from was predominantly white, Midwestern, white, Catholic, simple, right? I decided to go to college at the University of Nevada, Las Vegas, which is one of the most culturally diverse campuses in the United States of America. I started meeting people from all over the world, different backgrounds, different religion, different sexuality, different race, different wealth, etc., that I've been speaking about today. And I literally felt reborn within meeting them, because it mattered so much to me that there was a life outside of that small town in Ohio. There was people experiencing and living different things other than the normal that I was presented. I moved to Northern California. I met even more people. And it's amazing because so many people in my life, so many beautiful, amazing people that I cherish as friends and family, come from different backgrounds. They have a different religion than me. They're a different race than me. They their sexuality is different, all this kind of stuff, but they're amazing people and they share such beautiful energy with me. And the fact that I stepped out of that box that I was put in just due to circumstance and took my blinders off, it's probably one of the most important things that has ever happened in my whole entire life. Because non-acceptance of race it doesn't put you in a box, it doesn't put you in a hole, it puts you in a cage. And without a clear mind and an open heart and open eyes, that cage will last your whole entire lifetime. So I have to conclude with my idea of how we handle these systemic issues of acceptance. And it's going to sound relatively simple, but I'll elaborate. For one, you have to travel. You have to experience new things. You have to meet more people. You have to see more places on the planet to truly understand how many people are on this planet and how many different lives are being lived. And with that issue and with that item, you just have to accept. You just have to accept that everything and everyone on this planet has their own individual purpose. And whether or not that purpose fits into your life narrative is completely irrelevant. Because love trumps all. And acceptance, especially blind acceptance, is one of the most beautiful forms of love that you can give someone, whether you know them or not. Because when it all boils down to it, there are billions of different lives being lived on this planet. And our whole goal as humans should be that as we pass through each other's paths in this life, we do so with love and kindness. Thank you.